everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm actually at work, but for this morning, a lot of things have really been crossing my mind. I've been thinking a lot about spiritual warfare. I've been thinking a lot about relationships when it comes to romantic relationships. And what I realized is that what I want to talk about is the reason why it's so important for us women to look after ourselves and protect ourselves, because we have to understand that not everyone has our best interest at heart, and that this is not a video to say that all men is completely against all women, or all women need to be, very need to be watching, everybody, and just think that everybody is sketchy and all men are bad and all men are wrong. But what we have to do is we do have to look after ourselves. And I believe that we do have to be wise women, where we're not being naive and we're not being gullible. And this can actually go both ways. But what I really want to talk about on this video, and I'm actually at work, by the way, and it's just like super quiet in here, and I'm like, you know what, I would like to just get on here and actually do a video about this as I sit in my office. The reason why it's important for us women not to be running over to men's house is because you really don't, especially when it's somebody that you just met, you really don't know him. You really don't know what his intentions are. You really don't know what his motives is. And you have to be very careful when men is constantly that you just met, that you just been talking to, that you just been dating. You have to be very careful when they're constantly asking you to come over to their house, because you never know if this man has a plan in place and he's setting you up to take advantage of you, to abuse you. So you running over to his house, you're at his place, you're in his territory. And see, a lot of times, and what I found out is that men and women are different. Males and females are different. And I believe that, we hear a lot of that as, males and females are wired differently. And I've heard that from a lot of real men that I follow on social media, or that I've subscribed to their channels on YouTube and that I watch their videos, that a lot of times, sometimes us women, we can be going over to a man's house and literally it's like, okay, we're just going to eat pizza and we're literally going to watch movies. Like, that is where our mindset is at, right? We're just hanging out, we're just talking, we're just chilling. We're going to order pizza and we're just going to watch movies. Literally, that is just what you and I think as a woman. But this man could be thinking otherwise. I'm going to get her over here. And he thinking sex, possibly. I'm going to get her over here after you didn't ate the pizza, or after you didn't watch the movie or two. He's like, okay, it's time for us to go into the bedroom and do what we need to do in the bedroom. But that was not where your mindset was at. You just thought, okay, we're just going to come over here and eat some pizza, or we're just going to, order out some food, or we're just going to actually watch some movies. We're going to play some games. We're going to actually spend a little quality time together in order to know one another. But then he's thinking on a sexual side, on a sexual level. And then next thing you know, you're like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have sex because that's not what I want to do. That's not what I do. But then he's like, hold up. No, wait a minute, because you're over here. You're at my house. You're in my territory. And I thought that was the reason why you came over here. So that's why you have to be very, very careful, because he can force himself on you. And because you were over at his house in his territory, it may be a lot difficult for a woman to prove that she had been raped, or that she have had that stripped from her. Well, you're over at his house. He could say the sex was consensual, but he raped you. He forced himself on you. And that's the reason why we have to be very careful. And this is what I want to tell you and I. Stay out of men's houses. That's just what I want to say in this video. I just want to summarize it all up. Stay out of men's houses, because some of the stuff that we're doing now, I believe, has grown women, is stuff that we was doing in high school. always like hanging out with a boy, like his mom is not at home and he call you up and you go over to his house and y'all just all up in that house doing whatever y'all doing, hanging out in the car and doing whatever y'all doing in the car, making out in the car, you in his mama's backyard and y'all sitting up somewhere talking on a picnic table. Like that stuff that we do that was stuff I did in high school. Running up behind boys and sneaking in, they house, and I'm sneaking them into my house and my mom is gone and stuff like that. And I just believe that now as women, and I know that this video is not for everybody, but that for women, we have to be more wiser and we have to get out of this gullible and naive, state and mode of a mindset. And we have to get out of, well, he's so cute and I really like him. Well, then he may be cute to you and you may really like him, but if you don't know him, then you really don't know what he's on and what his real intentions are. And that is what we need to be observing for, and that's what we need to be paying attention to. Why, if he can constantly ask you to come over to his house, then he can constantly plan and ask you out on dates. Why is it that he always wants you over at his house? Well, okay, I don't want to come over to your house. Well, can I come over to your house? No, you're not coming over to my house. I'm going to stay out of your house and you're going to stay out of my house. Like, we're not doing this. Especially when you're a woman that's working to maintain purity. Okay, you're abstaining from sex. You're practicing celibacy. Stay out of a man's house. He needs to stay out of your house, and you have to stay out of his house. Because when you're just alone with him like that, it's space and opportunity. And that we can't be sitting back thinking, this is for our saved women and our women of God. We can't be sitting back thinking that we're so saved and we're just too anointed and that we can control this thing, that this is not going to happen. No, it doesn't matter how anointed you are. It doesn't matter what your role is or your title, or that you have the power of the Holy Spirit. We also have to be mindful that we still have a sinful nature where sin resides, and where sin resides to rise up and take hold of you and I and to control you and I and take us down a road of just giving into our flesh and giving into fleshly desires and sinful and selfish desires. That's what the flesh wants to do. My spirit is saved, like Pastor Jerry say, but your flesh is not. And we have to understand that the flesh is not submitting to what the Spirit of God is saying, nor is the Spirit of God going to submit to what the flesh is saying. But as believers, we have to say that I'm going to walk in the flesh. I'm going to walk in the Spirit, and I shall not let the flesh rule. And that we have to battle it out each and every day to bring this flesh. Because what the flesh wants to do is what the flesh wants to do. And whatever the flesh wants is what the flesh wants. And that's why we have to bring that under subjection and say, you know what? I already know that if I go over to his house, what this may lead into. So I'm going to make a choice, and I'm going to be a wise woman, that I'm going to stay out of men's houses. Because if I believe, and men need to stay out of my house, because I believe that if I stay out of a man's house, I will stay out of his bed. Because if I'm over at his house, there's easy access to the bedroom. And if I'm trying to maintain purity, it has to be a no. I don't do that. I don't go over men's houses. And then we also have to realize that as believers and women of Christ, this video is not for everybody, okay? But as believers and Christ followers, we also have to be mindful of us placing ourselves in certain situations. Because I'm just going to let you know that if I choose to go over a man's house, get in the bed with him half naked, then we might as well, he got half of his clothes off, I got most of my clothes off, then we might as well just go ahead and do the do. Because see, if you don't do that, you laying up in the bed with him, you got most of your clothes off, y'all fondling, y'all touching, y'all kissing, things are getting pretty heated, and the next thing you know, you pull away and say, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to have sex. Well, then you're sending a mixed message that could tick him off and cause him to go over the edge. You like him, you think he's cute, but you don't know him. You don't know his intentions. You don't know his motives. And you don't even know if he's safe. We just got to stay out of men's houses, because when we stay out of their houses and they stay out of our home, then I believe that it's not an easy access for bedroom action to take place and for bedroom action to happen. And that's what we have to think about. Because, see, a woman is thinking one way, but that man may be thinking a whole nother way. And you don't want to be going over somebody's house and you're sending mixed messages, or in his mind, you're playing hard to get. I'm talking about someone you just met, you don't know nothing about. I'm not talking about somebody that you may be literally exclusive with, or that you may be his fiance. Y'all are engaged, he done put a ring on it, you all are planning a wedding. I'm not talking about things like that, because even when you are at that level of dating with someone, the two of you still have to be on the same page. The two of you still have to be very careful when it comes to helping and supporting one another and holding each other accountable. That you all have to be of the same mind, of the same spirit, with the same purpose, that even if during that time you all are, engaged and you all are planning a wedding, okay, he may be over at your house. But there's not going to be too many times where we're just alone by ourselves, because then that's just space and opportunity. Even when you have reached that level of an engagement, two of you still have to be careful. We're not married yet. So we should not be doing too much fondling, too much physical touching, too much, things need to be more platonic. That means that there's not really no physical stuff going on. So I believe that when we choose to stay out of a man's house, that means that we're also choosing to stay out of the bed. And choosing to stay out of the sheets. And like someone said, that a lot of us as women, we're just in the bedroom and rolling around with men and just having all of this sex. Stay out of his house, I believe, will keep you and I out of his bed and keep us from falling into fornication and sexual immorality, when you know that you are practicing purity across the board. And that if he can keep asking you to come over to his house, and then you'll say, no, I don't want to come over to your house. And then he'll turn around and say, well, let me come over to your house. No, if he can keep asking that, then he can ask you out on a real date, because coming over to his house is not a date. Okay, a lot of times a lot of men don't even want to take women out on dates no more. A date to a man nowadays is sex. That's our date. You just come over to my house. I do the bare minimum. And then we just have sex. And then after that, I'm done. You can leave. That us women are being misused and mistreated. But this stuff is happening at the very beginning. Like, this is how us women are moving and operating. And this is just what we're doing at the very beginning of when we meet somebody. Right off the bat, you've been talking to this person for a couple of weeks, heck, a couple of days, and he's already trying to get you over to his house. Oh, we're not going to do anything. Ain't nothing going to happen. I can order out, or we can just watch some movies. So then us women will agree to that. But then once you get yourself over there, it's like now you are in his territory, and he can pretty much do whatever he wants to do to you. You don't know if you're dealing with a murderer. You don't know if you run over there, you go over to his house, and he may try to kill you. Like you don't know, because you don't know this man. You just met him, and all you thinking about is how cute he is and how fine he is and what he got going on as far as physical sense, as far as on the physical side. He got money, and he got a nice car. He got a good job, and got a brand new car and an Escalade truck. And this is where our mindset is at. But what God said to me is that we have to get out of all of this physical stuff, and we have to be able to see from a spiritual perspective. We must have a spiritual eye. Anytime we're encountering spirits, our spiritual aspects must be turned on at an all high. Our knowledge, our wisdom, our understanding, our discernment. One thing that Pastor Jerry said is that we pray and we ask God, Father God, strengthen our discernment, that we're not constantly wasting our time on counterfeits. So staying out of his house and staying, not going to his house and staying out of his house, I believe that will protect you and I and keep us and prevent us from actually going into this man's bedroom. Stay out of his house will keep you out of his bedroom, in the sheets with him. So we have to be very careful with that. And I was just thinking about that this morning, and I wanted to get on here and actually just do a video about this. Be careful when he's constantly asking you, okay? And don't allow yourself to constantly sit under that. If you've already told him no, because you have it lodged in your mindset and in you, okay, because you have boundaries in place, you have created boundaries, and you're enforcing your boundaries, and you're like, I don't go to men's houses, and that is what you're sticking to, and that is what you're standing on, and he keeps asking you, and you keep telling him no. What I want you and I to do, because as I speak to you, I speak to myself. And as I encourage you, I encourage myself. So when a man is constantly asking a woman to come over, and you then already told him 20 million times no, because I'm not that type of woman to be running over to a man's house, but yet he keeps asking you, he's not listening to what you're saying because he doesn't care. Because you should be able to just tell him no one time. And if you're telling him no over and over again, he's not listening to you. He doesn't care. Like, I don't care what you're saying. And the more he's asking you, the more temptation, and that's can cause temptation, to you to be tempted. Like, goodness, okay, he keeps asking me to come over, so I'm just going to go over there because he keeps asking. Well, he's not listening to you, and he doesn't care, because it's all about what he feels he needs from you. Like, I could care less that you're telling me no. And it's like, you should only be able to say no one time, and he hear you, and he's not asking you anymore to come over to his house, or he's asking to come over to your house. And see, that should be like a ringer in our mindset. Why is it that he keep asking me over to his house? Like, he's not asking me to the movies. He's not asking me to, to dinner. He's not asking me, to an NBA game. He's not asking me out to a concert. He's not asking me out to a comedy show. He keeps asking me to come over to his house. So that's a red flag. I believe also that it's a good thing when a man is asking you out on real dates. He's not asking you out over to his house, because that's not a real date. And because I don't know you, we need to be going out to public places and doing things public around other people, because I don't know you like that. So when you're dating somebody, when you're talking to somebody, then that should be the plan for this person, this man, to be taking you out on dates. A date at his house, you all sitting up somewhere, that's not a date. He says it's a date. And a lot of times, us women, we give in to that. We're like, okay, I'll come over. And he'll tell you, um, we can watch movies or we can do this, we can do that. But yet and still, you're over at his house alone with him. You are in his territory. And because of that, he can pretty much do whatever he wants to do to you. That's just like, it's also too for us women that when a man is actually planning a date and that you just met him, that it's that I believe that just to keep ourselves safe and for our own good is for us to have our own transportation to the place, our own transportation, whether that's your own car, whether you have to take a Lyft or a Uber or ride share or however. But having this man come to your house and pick you up, you just met him, you don't know him. I don't believe that's a good idea. Okay, I'll meet you there. If he's saying, okay, at 7:30, we're have reservations for us to be at this restaurant at 7:30. He come in his own form of transportation, you come with your own form of transportation, because he comes by, he picks you up, he knows where you live at. Especially if he's coming to pick you up directly right in front of your house. But then you just got into this man's car. You're in this man's territory. So he can take you out somewhere in the woods or take you out, far out somewhere and do something to you. And then this is what I want to say is that I don't want you to think that, oh, she's just saying that all men are like this. I'm not saying all men are like this. But when you first meet somebody, there's no trust yet. So it's like, I don't trust you because I have not known you long enough, been around you long enough. I don't know anything about you long enough for any trust to be established. I don't know you. That's the reason why we have to be sketchy. We have to be watchful. We have not so much sketchy, but watchful and observant. I don't know you, and there has not been any trust established, and I don't feel comfortable just being at your house. Not all men are dogs. Not all men treat women like trash. Not all men just want to use a woman up for sex. I'm just going to put that out there. But a lot of men that us women, as single women, are encountering, that is what they're on. I believe that men that are out here to drag and dog women out, those are the ones that come a dime in a dozen. But there are men out here that are truly God-fearing, that truly have a real and serious relationship with Christ, and that are truly seeking and looking and pursuing a wife. And that there's single women that are desiring husband material. Because when a man has a serious relationship with Christ, that Christ really has his heart, he's a man that's going to lead in love. So he's a man that's going to lead you going in the right direction, is because he's following the real and true leader that leads us on that path of righteousness for his name's sake. So when he truly has Christ and truly loves Christ and has a relationship with Christ, then this is a man that has a heart to do what is right by you and beside you. More than likely, he's not going to be out to use you, mishandle you, dishonor you, disrespect you. But it must be the presence of God must abide and reside in that man's heart and within himself. Because it's God that gives us the will to do those things which are pleasing in his sight. It's God that compels us and that influences us to do the right thing by him, by others, and by ourselves. So a man who truly has Christ can be trusted. Like me as a woman, if I don't have the Spirit of God, you can't trust me. Don't trust me. I'm a hot mess. I'm a manipulator. I'm a deceiver. I'm a liar. I'm all of that. Because it's the Spirit of God that aids us to do better and to be better each and every day. It's God who betters our lives. It's better living with Christ. So stay out of his house will keep you out of his bed. Because we have to look after ourselves and not to be on this path of desperation and being thirsty. Constantly placing and putting our hearts on the line just for our hearts to be, walked on and trampled on and broken. And over again, we're holding the bag, many pieces of a broken heart. Just rushing. Just because a man is showing interest in you does not mean that he has the desire to do the right thing by you. Just because he likes you does not mean that he desires to do the right thing by you. Because I believe that any man that approaches a woman, that shows interest in a woman, he knows why he approached her and showing interest in her. Whether it's for sex, whether it's for money, whether he's looking for a way out, for a woman to take care of him, or he's looking for a wife. He's pursuing a wife. He's dating for the purpose of marriage. But then he's also a man that's allowing himself to be led and guided by the Holy Spirit. Because some of us women out here, we ratchet too. There's a lot of Delilahs out here, and the Jezebel spirit and all of that going on with a lot of us women too. Because a lot of us women are moving to try to get a man for everything that he got. So I'm just going to be real. I'm just going to be real. Some of us women are out here gold digging and all of that. So I'm just going to be real about that. So not only us women, we're watching out for, demonic spirits. It's also a real God-fearing men out here that are single, and they have to watch out for demonic spirits that resides in women. The same way demonic spirits are residing in a man is the same way a demonic and evil spirit can be working and moving on a woman. Staying out of his house will keep us out of his bed. And that we don't have to worry about, well, I told him no. When he forced himself on me, he took it anyway. What can you do with that? Am I saying that's right? No. But you're over at his house in his territory. You're in his car. He can pretty much do whatever he wants to do to you. Because we're placing ourselves in that predicament. We need to be out amongst other people. We can't be doing stuff by ourselves because I don't know you. I don't know what you're on. I don't know what you're about. And we also have to make sure we're having conversations and also indirectly asking questions. So like kind of incorporating questions and conversations with, somebody that we may be dating. Just sitting around, just being quiet and not talking and having, conversations, that's not a good thing. There's nothing wrong with being quiet, but I believe there's an issue when someone is too quiet. When a person doesn't have nothing to hide, you can ask them anything and they won't have a problem with it. Let me say that again. A person that does not have nothing to hide, they're open to you asking them anything. You can ask them questions or whatever. They don't have a problem answering the questions that you're asking them. But when someone gets offended and upset and say, you know what, you just talking too much and asking too many questions, like, why do you want to know that? That is a red flag for someone that's saying, I don't have to tell you a thing. And also someone that's seeking to control, like a controlling spirit. Because when someone doesn't have nothing to hide, they're willing to just to let it all out and lay all their cards on the table. Because they know that their intentions are right. And there's purpose, behind the pursuing. There's a purpose behind the going after you. So that's what we have to do too. We have to have conversations. Through conversations, you learn a lot about a person. Through conversations, you learn where a person's mindset is at. Just through conversations, you can pretty much kind of tap into the lifestyle that a person also lives. Just through conversation. Sometimes, this is what I want to say too, sometimes you may not even get through a first date because of a conversation that you're having with this person. The two of you are talking over the phone and you kind of notice some things in the conversation and they could be red flags. It could be like this bell ringing in your mind and it's like a red flag just through conversation. So it's like the two of you don't even get to a first date just by some of the things he's saying, the words that are coming out of his mouth. You kind of notice things like every time you talk to him, he's always hanging out. And you thinking to yourself, does he have a job? Does he work? He's always hanging out with his boys, at the strip club or whatever the case may be. But then you notice that it just seems like he may not have a job. So every time you talk to him, he doesn't really have a whole lot going on. And then you think over your life and where you're at, and it's like you have figured out that the two of you are just on different paths. Or sometimes you just go on the date, and at the end of the date, you realize that you just don't want to go on any more dates. And this can work both ways. There's just something off, the conversation, communication, just off. I just realized that we're just on different paths and this is just not going to work. And the moment we realize that is, don't keep dating this person. Possibly don't even keep talking to this person. You may just need to walk away completely. And like Tony Gaskin say, just go on about your life. If you know that this is not going to work for you, then you have to cut off all ties. And just not hold on to this person just to have someone you can talk to and go out on dates with and just to have a man or just to have a woman. But then you already know that this is not going to go anywhere. That's a waste of time. The moment you realize that, And then there's also those times where you say, okay, I think that I can give this, I can do a second date with this person, or I can go out on a date with this person, that I can keep going on with this. But then also making sure that you're staying before God on it, and that you're choosing to stand still. Like you're not giving in, you're not giving too much, you're not saying too much, you're not doing too much, because sometimes that's what we fall short at too. We come at the very beginning just doing all of this stuff. Giving too much of ourselves, we're talking too much, we're doing too much for this person, and you just met this person. It's a matter of someone coming in to add to your life, not take life from you. So I just wanted to end. I didn't expect this video to be as long as it is, but that's okay. Stay out of his house. I believe will keep you out of his bed. Until next time, you take care of yourself.